Well, hello, everybody. Good evening. So, this is a bit of an impromptu session. Basically, I just decided to go live. I was very busy all day today, helping out a friend with getting his website set up and things like that. So I have just been too busy to make a video, basically. So essentially, I came across this video and I was going to go down the path of doing a response video to it, but then I was kind of thinking, you know what? Let's do it live. Let's hear what the people have to say live. I got about probably 10,000 unread comments over the past couple of weeks, so I figured, you know what? Let's go live instead. Let's just see what the people have to say, because I'm a bit torn on this one. And as you guys know, as I often say, I never just side with the cops because they're cops. I never go hard on the auditors just because they're auditors, or whatever the case may be. I tend to just be legit about what I see, and I hope to get your opinion on this one. So this one comes from the United Kingdom. Hold on a second. Let me just start over because I have to. Right. Did I actually hit record there, or? Right. So I'm going to record as we go because I'm testing out a new system here. So I've got it all set up and I'm hoping that it goes well. So I'm hoping that this will record properly for me. I don't know if it will. And then I will release this as a clip. So as you guys know, myself and Team Skeptic have got a new channel coming up called Uh-Oh. Yes, I think that worked. Anyway, so we got a new channel coming up called, and this is going to be kind of part of what we'll do, which is where we do a live stream and then take good clips from those live streams and post them, and then also do creative content as well. So an interesting comment came up the other day about somebody who was talking about sometimes they don't quite get to catch the live streams live, and that the live streams can sometimes be too long for them to invest the time to go back and watch it all. So it makes sense to do clips from those live streams. So I'm going to attempt that today. This video, this clip, whatever clip I take from it, will be posted here on this channel tomorrow for people to catch up on. Basically, that's kind of roughly where I'm at. So anyway, this video comes to us from the United Kingdom, from a place called Basingstoke in English land. And basically, it's a guy who's a busker, and he's in what's known as the malls, or the malls. I'm not really sure how, like in Ireland, we say mall. In the US, you say mall. I'm not really sure what they call it in English land. So anyway, he's in this place. It is publicly accessible in that it's kind of an open air kind of place. It has got a roof and things like that, but it is open air. So it's a tricky one, okay? Also, trespass law in the United Kingdom is very, very difficult. It's really tough. It's not like it is here in Ireland or in the US. It's not as cut and dry. So it's more of a civil matter as opposed to a criminal legal matter. So it's tough. It is very tough. And this is more a matter of, I guess, more a matter of opinion than it is a matter of law. So I think that's very important to point that out. So anyway, this comes out of the United Kingdom from Basingstoke. This busker was busking, evidently, and the security guards took issue with it. Now, just to explain from my point of view and my experience and all the rest of it, I've spent my whole adult life working in security. I trained security. I got to a very high level in security, so I know a lot about the security industry, I should say. And obviously it differs from jurisdiction to jurisdiction in terms of what you can and can't do, what you can and can't carry, things that you're allowed to do, etc. And in this particular case, these security guards, in my opinion, did a lot more than what they were meant to do. So I'm going to play it for you and see what you think. So here we go. Well, I'm glad that worked first time. All right, so let me know if you can't hear it or anything like that. And just for the fun of it.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's get stuck in.
Tell me again the law. Tell me what the law is.
You haven't got a right to be here to busk.
I've got every right to be here.
Mate, off you go. We've asked you politely.
I'm not doing anything unlawful, my friend.
Yes, you are.
What am I doing unlawful?
You're on our property. We've asked you to move on.
This is a public space.
No, it's not a public space. Where did you get it? It's a public space.
Well, because the public are allowed to.
It's got a roof, it's got walls, it's private property, okay?
It doesn't matter if it's private property, it's still a public space.
So we've got to pack
No, don't touch my stuff. Don't touch my stuff.
Once you touch me, mate,
leave my stuff alone.
Move your gear.
Don't touch my stuff.
We're moving your gear.
Mate, don't touch my stuff.
We're going to move your gear.
Mate,
All right, so I'm just going to pause it right there real quick. So the whole idea of him touching the guy's stuff, that's where I had an issue. But we'll get into that a bit more in just a minute.
You're breaking it. What you're going to break it? You're breaking it. You can't do it like that.
Grab hold of that, mate.
Mate, don't touch my stuff.
Bring his bag.
What are you doing?
There you go.
Leave my stuff alone.
Come along.
You're breaking it.
Yeah, of course we are.
You're damaging my stuff.
Yeah, keep filming.
Can you please leave me alone, boys?
No, not at all. We'll leave you alone when you're off.
Mate, what are you doing? That's my stuff. Can you please leave me alone?
You unplug it from there or I unplug it
Can you
from
please put my stuff down?
here.
What are you doing? Put my stuff down. You're going to break my stuff. You can't pull that out. It doesn't pull out like that. Mate, this is. What is your name?
Yeah.
Don't touch my stuff. You're breaking my stuff. You're causing a serious problem here, mate. Can you stop touching my stuff? That's theft. You don't have permission to touch my stuff. Can I please have my stuff back?
No.
What do you mean no? Why are you taking my stuff?
Detaining your stuff.
What?
So he said he's detaining his stuff. So he said, and I quote, "I'm detaining your stuff." So that falls into the category of searches and seizures. Now, this is a really difficult one because, quite frankly, and to be straight and honest about it, whether or not you agree with buskers being on the street or in this case in the mall or whatever the case may be, that doesn't give these guys the right to touch his equipment under any circumstances. The only way that they would have an absolute right to touch his equipment is if it was causing an immediate danger to somebody. That could be anybody, because it is their duty to protect the place and protect the people in there to a certain extent. As for removing this person, under the UK laws, and the same here in Ireland, quite similar but not the exact same here, it is not allowed for a security guard to put their hands on you or your stuff. Basically, the role of a security guard under this jurisdiction, under the UK jurisdiction, in Australia as well, is simple. It's observe and report. You observe an issue, and then you report that issue to the necessary higher-ups, be that police, be it whoever. It doesn't really matter who it is, but that's your job as a security guard. You don't have the right to put your hands on anybody unless they are doing something that's going to cause an immediate danger and that you have to stop. To clarify, security guards in the United Kingdom do not have any more powers than any other member of the public. So if this person had stolen something or assaulted somebody or did something else that would legitimately allow for there to be a citizen's arrest made, then they could do that. Doesn't mean that they should or that they're necessarily allowed to by their company or whatever the case may be, but they are not allowed to put their hands on you or your stuff, even if your stuff isn't your stuff. So, for example, if I was in a store and I decided to fill my pockets with stuff, that still doesn't give them the right to put their hands on you or search you without permission. Now, if you say, I allow you to search me, then they can, within reason. There's boundaries that they're not allowed to cross. So, from a security guard's perspective, you're probably better off just simply not searching the person. Just ignore the situation and wait for the cops to come. And that's what these guys should have done here. He may have been creating a disturbance. I don't know. I mean, it seems unlikely, especially given the responses of the people around him. But if he was creating a disturbance, it still wouldn't give them the right to touch him or his stuff. They could maybe turn the power off to that switch or whatever the case may be, but they can't put their hands on him. Anyway, let's watch on another bit.
I don't need to move on. It's a public space. Boys, you are causing a problem here. You're causing a serious problem. You're being unlawful. You're unlawfully taking my stuff. Don't touch my.
Take it out of my
Don't
face.
touch my
Take it
phone.
out of my
That's
face.
assault.
Take it out of my
That is
face.
assault.
Take that out of my face.
Don't touch
All right, now what say you in the side chat? Was that assault?
my. That's assault, mate.
Take it out
What do you
of my
think?
face.
That is assault, mate. You're not allowed to assault people. What are you doing?
Leave him alone.
Can you? Right, you guys need to leave my stuff alone, and you need to not touch me.
You
Because
need
that
to
is
get out my face.
Don't punch me.
Enough.
What do you think you're doing?
You don't want me punching you, man.
So, absolutely in this scenario, this guy here, the security guard, completely caused this issue, right? So the guy's standing there with his phone. That may be irritating, as we see all the time, but basically, he's standing there with his phone. The guy comes at him, pushes him, starts manhandling him, and then punches his phone or whatever. Completely. That is assault. I'm sorry. if you don't like the fact that he's not complying with the security guards, whatever, fair enough. We can cover that topic too. But absolutely, this guy completely caused this incident here. The officer, he walked towards him in an aggressive manner. In fact, even in that scenario, the guy probably would have had the right to go hands-on to protect himself, because this guy came at him in an aggressive way. He's not a cop, he's a rent-a-cop. And I'm sorry, but them's the rules.
You're going to threaten to punch me now? Can you please put my stuff down? You're stealing my stuff. That's theft.
Stealing it, we're with you.
You're not with me. Can you please leave my stuff alone and leave me alone to play music? You guys are unbelievable. That is disgusting. I'm allowed to film. I'm allowed to film, mate. I'm filming for my own protection.
He's allowed to film. It's a public space.
Yeah, of course I am. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. You know the law. Well done, mate. Excuse me, mate. Unbelievable.
Well, give him a chance to move.
Can you please leave my stuff alone, mate?
Stuff back down. We're all happy with him. You're the one that's on the problem.
Excuse me, mate. You've taken my money as well. Can I have my money back? You've stolen my money.
No, he hasn't stolen your money.
he's
Your
taken
money's
my
right
money.
there.
Mate.
Has he stolen it?
Can I have it back
Stop
then?
making up stories.
And can you put my stuff down?
Put his
Not
stuff
at all.
down and give him the chance to move of his
We've
own
been in
accord.
15, 20 minutes.
Because otherwise
I haven't even been in 15 minutes. I've been filming for 3 minutes, mate.
Everyone's
Excuse me, my friend. Can you please put my stuff down?
Are you going to leave if they put your stuff back down?
My friend.
Would you just do your thing?
No,
Because
I
they've got
appreciate-
legal requirements.
Yeah,
So
no,
if they
no,
put your stuff
they're actually
down
wrong, because this
and
is a
stop
public
taking
space, so I'm allowed to be here.
This part, I think, is owned by.
It doesn't matter who. It doesn't matter who it's owned by. It's
If you
still
move
public
just
access
down
space.
there-
So I did look this up. It is actually owned by the Basingstoke Town Council. So from a strictly legal perspective, those guards actually do have the right to trespass him from the area, basically. But again, because of UK law, it's really tricky as to whether or not he's actually breaking the law at that point. It'd be a different story if a police officer gave him an order to move and asked him to leave the area. But it's totally different when a security guard says it. Gary IOW, thank you for joining the Demon Army. And I just saw as well, just a minute ago, that my good friend The Plot Hole has been a member and a general, I might add, in the Demon Army, a true life Demon Army general for a year. That's unreal. Thank you so much. And also, I think he's just passed 10,000 subscribers. And if not, anybody here who's not subscribed to Johnny O from The Plot Hole, if you like my videos, you'll love his ones. So definitely go give him a subscribe. Let's get him over that 10,000 mark if he hasn't hit it already. So anyway, let's go back and have another look at this here.
That is public. And if you move
No,
just
but
to the other side of the train station,
the law, because I do this for a living.
I'm doing this for you,
Yeah, I
my
know you are,
bro.
brother. I
I'm
appreciate
doing
it, man.
for
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
But the law in
so-
the country is
No.
that any place that's open to the public is a public space, whether it's owned privately or not. But he's got no right to take my
I
stuff.
know. I'm with you,
We
man.
have,
And you're gonna get
we
in
have
trouble.
got the right to remove you.
You don't, because I haven't done
Yes, we
anything
do.
unlawfully.
You're
You're the ones who've been unlawful.
Especially now if it's all attached to that.
It's unbelievable. You guys have been completely unlawful, and I've got it all on film. He's assaulted me. This gentleman, what's your name? What's your name, friend? What's your name?
None of your business, that's what my name is.
Well, I'm going to find out from your employer because you've assaulted me.
Go for it.
So that you're not allowed to do that.
I gotta agree with the Busker here. Like, that guy did assault him. Like, that was assault, plain and simple. If you're standing there with your phone recording, even if you're not allowed to record in that area, which in this case, I would say you could argue he absolutely is within his rights to record in there, because again, it is a public area, essentially. It is part of the council open mall area. It's not like an enclosed mall, like a shopping center type mall. So it's a little bit different. So yes, he probably is within his rights to film there. Even if he wasn't, the way that guy came at him, totally unacceptable, especially given the fact that he's a security guard and he should know better, because when you're trained as a security guard in the UK, in Ireland, or in Australia, I'm not sure about any other jurisdictions. I'm only familiar really with those three. But when you're trained, it's one of the first things you're trained. You don't escalate a situation. You don't assault somebody. You never put your hands on somebody unless you have no other choice. That's just bog standard security training there. So while I would say in terms of the levels of assault, having worked in the industry for a long, long time, I can tell you that's the very low scale, and would probably necessitate maybe a talking to or a course refresher or something like that. But seriously, I'm with the Busker on this one. Even though I might not agree with how he's handling the situation in general, allowing it to get to this point, maybe he should have just moved on and then aired his grievance with the local council afterwards. You know, that might have been a more reasonable way to deal with it. But if he is legally within his rights, then that's fine. I understand that. But if it was me and I felt my rights were being infringed, I wouldn't cause a big kerfuffle. I would just kind of, you know, leave and then talk to the council about it afterwards or whatever. But from what I've seen, and of course, with these videos, you're only seeing one perspective. I don't know what happened before the camera started rolling, but on this video, he's not being aggressive. He's not being difficult. The reasonable thing to do in this scenario for the security would be to say, sir, can you please move? No? All right. Call the cops. Cops come, move you on, and if you breach that, you get arrested. That's the reasonable thing here. It's not like the guy was there doing a striptease show. He was there busking on his guitar, from what I can gather. Desert Chill sends a cute ass lemon for $9.99 US. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Amerdon says for $5 US, why do all of these folks think that just because it's a business that they can do whatever they want? You know, you're right there. Again, coming from a reasonable perspective, I would say that if it's somebody's business or whatever, you should probably treat that with a bit of respect and whatever the case may be. But the way these guys are acting goes way above and outside the scope of what they should be doing in any case. It might be, you might argue it's a little bit different if it was a nightclub or something where, you know, I've worked in nightclubs and pubs and stuff like that, and people get right in your face. Then that's a different story. The boundaries have been crossed at that point. But it seems like this guy's backed off and been pretty chill. So I don't think it's fair. A madman says reasonable force idiot. I don't think any of that was reasonable force in any capacity whatsoever. And as I say, I've worked in the industry. I worked in the industry as a trainer for a long time. I know this stuff inside out. There are very few people on this planet that can tell me anything about the security industry that I don't know. And that's not me blowing my own trumpet or anything. That's just me giving you my perspective on it. So I'm just saying, even though, as Roisin says, the rent-a-cop is tired of his shit, fine. I agree. I've been in situations like this before where you just get a difficult person. You ask them to do something very simple because maybe it is the rules in that mall that you're not allowed to busk there, right? That may well be the case. And my first thing would be like, okay, look, I'm going to ask you to leave. They say no. You kind of assess the situation and say, is it fair to get rid of him? Should he be here? Should he not be here? And then if it becomes an issue, you call the cops. And that's as simple as that. You call the cops. You say, look, I'm security here. In this case, on behalf of the Basingstoke Town Council, I've asked this guy to leave. He won't leave. Can you please remove him? And then the cops will do what they do. And then you hand over that responsibility to the police. That's their job. That's not his job. So while I agree with you on the whole thing of, you know, your man's probably shit sick of him, I agree 100% because I know I would be. And like, here's the thing. If a guy's just standing there busking, it's Christmas time, he's standing there busking, giving people a couple of tunes and he's not causing any real problems. For me personally, I'd be like, just leave the guy alone, leave him do his thing. Then you have to look at the, you know, precedent that sets and things like that. So there's a lot of nuance here. And that's why I wanted to do this live rather than in a recorded video, because these are the kind of nuanced talking points that we should kind of have and chat to each other about and that kind of thing. So I'm open to everything here, by the way, and I'm not going to shit on anybody for siding with one side over the other, because it seems already that people have vastly differing views on this, and that's what I love about this. So we'll get to the live chat in just a minute. Before we do, Frank Perry, thank you so much for $5 US, says, I agree you cannot touch his stuff, but we know if there are any rules posted, and does this guy have a history? But like you said, we don't know, and that's exactly the point. We don't know. He might well have. Now, I don't know if this guy's an auditor. I don't know anything about that. In the comment section of this video, there's a lot of talk about auditing and all that kind of stuff, so could well be the case. And if he is, it still doesn't change my view of how these guards acted, because the reality is, when you're a security guard, even though you don't have any more powers than anybody else, you certainly have more responsibility. And it is your responsibility to perform your duties in an appropriate manner. If you can't do that, then you should rethink your job path. And that sounds harsh, but that's the reality of it, because guess what happens? regular Joe Blow walking down the street has an issue with this busker and gets into it with him, there might be an argument, a bit of a scuffle, and that's the end of it. You as a security guard get into it with this guy, you're going to end up in trouble. And that's the reality of it. So if anything, I'm kind of giving a word of caution to the security guard here, because I have seen guys get pushed to the point of no return, snap and do something stupid. They end up fired. They end up in trouble. It's a real nightmare. So I don't wish that on anybody. But that's a really good point, Frank. I really appreciate that. Prox for $5 says, bravo. Thank you very much. And you know what? I'm just giving my perspective on this. That's why I'm not taking a hard view one way or the other, because it's just like, oh, who do I side with here? But we'll have a look at the end, and I'm actually going to put a poll up, so do stay tuned. I'm going to put a poll up at the end. I want to see who if you had to choose between one or the other, which one do you side with? That's a tough one, because I'm legitimately right in the middle on this one. It's a very difficult one for me. Ali Benny sends $3 Australian with no comment. Thank you so much, Ali. Really appreciate it. And Johnny McLeod, the same with no comment for $5. Thank you so much, Johnny. I hope you're doing well out there. Alrighty. Let's see here where we at. Anyway, so let's move on, and again, we'll get your reaction here at the end as well.
And this guy, he won't give me my stuff back. He's broken it by trying to unplug it, which when it doesn't unplug.
It ain't broken.
How do you know? Well, can you put it down then?
No. No.
I know, that's what I'm
He's
saying.
on private property. He's got
It's
no
a public
licence.
space, mate. You don't need a licence.
Yes, you do. You
You
keep
don't-
saying it's private. It's public
You don't need
space.
it.
It's not
What do you need a
public
licence
space.
for?
Because we have entertainers here with licences.
You don't need a
With
licence.
public liability. Where's your insurance?
I don't
You
need
got
insurance.
He doesn't even own those clothes.
If somebody falls over your gear and hurts, what insurance have you
The
got?
only people
You
that
gotta
are
leg it,
making
you gotta
my
leg
gear
it.
out in the
I don't
it's
need
you.
insurance.
It was a way out of the way, mate.
They don't.
So on the subject of licensing, insuring, and all that kind of stuff, right? I think we can all agree there's like a reasonable level there, all right? So it's not like the guy's out there knife juggling or flame throwing or, you know, flame breathing, whatever it's called. He's playing a guitar, all right? So maybe it's the law that he has to, right? But let's be real here. A guy standing there playing a guitar, realistically, do you really need insurance? Do you really need a license? No. Legally speaking, it is an unregulated act, basically. Busking is unregulated in the United Kingdom. It is here too. However, that being said, the property is owned. So all property in the United Kingdom is owned by somebody or some entity. Property in the United Kingdom, in this particular scenario, is owned by the Town Council of Basingstoke. So they, as the owner of that property, can say, if you want to busk here on this particular mall, you have to have a permit. The same way as I own this property. Feast your eyes upon my property. If you wanted to busk here in the corner, I could let you do it, no problem. I can also kick you out. And I can say, you can busk here as long as you got a permit. That's my right. But then the reasonability comes into it. Is it reasonable to have a permit to busk? Perhaps, maybe not. I'm open to hear what you... Splaticus Max says, can you just let the video run, please? Okay, I'm just going to clarify this because a lot of people seem to not understand what a commentary channel is. If you want to watch the video in full without interruptions, go find it yourself. I'm not being mean, I'm just being real. If you want to watch the video without me interrupting, go find it yourself. This is a response commentary channel. I will respond and comment. That's what I do. So if you don't like it, do you know what? I'll even give you the link right now. Here you go. Here's the link, so you can go watch it yourself and come back to us at the end when you're done. Anyway, so now we will go back. That wasn't a sound effect, by the way. That was just me doing it.
But someone could
Excuse
do
me,
both.
look how many
though.
votes you've got
He's no
against you.
different.
Look how many people are looking at you.
All of us are
Go
against
shopping then,
What, have you
shouldn't
called the police, my
All
friend?
of us against
Have you called the police yet?
So it's easy
Have you called the
that
police
just let
yet?
the man do
Yeah.
his thing.
What, are they on their way?
Oh, yeah.
So can you put my stuff down?
No.
What do you mean no? Do you know how silly you're being?
Yeah.
My brother.
Do you know how silly you're
My
being?
bro.
No, I'm just
My
trying to
bro.
get-
One
I'm just trying to get
question.
on
Are
with-
you gonna do the thing?
He
Like you
won't
can
do the
move to
thing.
the
He
public
doesn't wanna
part.
move.
Just move to the
But
public.
this is
part.
public.
Yeah, I mean,
Whether it's
'cause
privately owned or
otherwise
not, it's
they're
still a
gonna walk
public
off with
space.
your thing and
Even
then
the
go
bloke
back
who's
to
saying
the
won't
and
use
do
That's
telling
the
death,
you.
but then I'll
vending.
sue their employer and get a new
Yeah,
one, won't I?
yeah, crack
Okay,
on.
if that's the way you want to go, but
Well,
we're
I've got it
trying
all
to help
evident.
you
I know,
still
I
earn
appreciate
now.
I appreciate that, brother. But
Because everyone
I'm
wants
just
you
trying
to earn.
I'm just trying to
but-
stand up for my
and I'm
rights. That's
saying
all. And I
there's
don't
as
want to be
much
harassed or
football
assaulted.
right by the train station.
If
So
you're
if you
listening
did it
to
just
us-
there, no one can stop you, bro.
No,
I see the
but
kids
no
doing
one-
it
no
there.
one can legally stop me here. That's what my point
I see
is.
all the, or even just the other side of Festival Place. I see all the Jehovah's Witnesses down there preaching. So I'm sure you could do it down there too. Yeah, I'm saying.
He can. And nobody's
Exactly.
stopping
So
him
I'm
going
saying,
there.
look, he will put them bits down, and you can go and earn still.
No, I appreciate that, mate. But all
Yeah,
I'm doing is
I mean-
standing up for my rights. Well, the law in this
I
country
understand.
is
I'm with
in
you,
a
brother,
public space.
honestly,
Yeah,
but
whether
I'm
it's
saying the law don't matter no more. These
Yeah,
guys just
apparently
do
not.
what the fuck they like.
Yeah, I know they do.
I
They
mean,
do,
so
don't they?
if
They
you
do.
really want your stuff and you still want to earn, then I would do it that
No,
way.
I appreciate that,
You
man.
can't beat the
But
man
what you
no
said
more.
is the truth.
Yeah, I'm
You're
saying,
right,
yeah,
man.
You
You're
can't
right.
beat the
Been
man no
removed-
more.
You're
So
right.
he's been moved from
Saying.
Festival Place, and now he's giving us grief. Thank you.
No, Festival
Well,
Place
he's
told me to
tried
play
the
here.
next space,
No,
hasn't he?
no.
Yeah.
All right, that's an interesting point there. So the security guard said that he was moved from Festival Place, which is just around the corner. It's like an open air area, and told to go there. Well, he says he was told to go there. So I wonder, perhaps this guy has perhaps he's a regular, frequent flyer who does this to provoke them. I don't know the answer to that. But that still comes back to the point of, did they have the right to do what they did? All right, before we continue, Johnny McLeod. Is it McLeod or McLeod? I think it's McLeod in your case. For 2 US says, the best channel out there, hands down. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And a further $2 just because. Thank you very much indeed. And then we have a really interesting one here from Frank says, if they have licensed or paid entertainment, then they have the right to say they're paying for what he is doing and competing with them. That's a very good point. And I actually would tend to agree with you there. So if you have licensed, let's say you have buskers on site who have paid for their licenses, right? Or their permits or whatever the case may be to be there to play so that they can earn money, right? First of all, I support buskers 100%, but I'm just saying, let's say that's the scenario. Then I agree that they probably do have a right and maybe even a duty to kind of shift on people who are doing the same thing. The same as if I went in there and started selling goods that one of the other shops was selling. You see what I mean? So it's kind of that I think that's a reasonable request then in that scenario to ask the person to move on. But what it comes back to for me is, even that being a reasonable request or not, they shouldn't have put their hands on him and they shouldn't have put their hands on his stuff if he wasn't acting in an aggressive manner that necessitated somebody actually putting their hands on them to stop them. It's a difficult one, but I think in that scenario, for me, that's the clear-cut part. That's the only clear-cut part of this whole thing.
I mean,
Yeah, they did.
Well, we just had a call to
you
say
think
they
he's
moved you
trying to go out
on.
of his way
Yeah, they
to
told me
keep
to come
trying
in.
to earn, bro.
They even helped me with my stuff. They were a lot more polite than you. They didn't assault me.
We have entertainers
Why
there.
are you being aggressive?
Because I
Because
don't
you
want
don't
to
like
film
your
you.
photos.
I'm allowed to
but
film.
you're
It's a
filming
public
us.
space.
You're not allowed to film.
Yeah,
I
but
am.
you're being filmed.
I'm allowed
There's
to
more
film.
cameras in this place than there is
I'm
in
just
New
not in your
York fucking
face. I'm
city,
miles
bro.
away from you. I'm
Yeah,
filming for my own
I mean,
protection because you assaulted me, and I'm going to
you
take it
don't
You were
further.
filming him first, weren't you?
Hey, my brother.
I didn't assault anybody, my friend. It's all on camera.
I know it is. You crack on, keep saying I've broken this.
And you broke
I want to just go back and see what he said there about you assaulted us first.
protection because you assaulted me, and I'm going to take it
You were
further.
filming him first, weren't you?
Hey, my brother.
Okay, so what he said is you was filming him first, wasn't you? So not assault. Okay.
I didn't assault anybody, my friend. It's all on camera.
I know it is. You crack on, keep saying I've broken this.
And you've broken my stuff as well. If that's damaged,
You filmed me picking it up.
I filmed you trying to pull that plug out, and it doesn't pull out. What do you mean? No, I've got you on film. Can you put my stuff down, please?
No,
But that's theft. Just taking
no,
my
it's not
stuff away.
theft. You don't.
It's not really theft. It's just kind of not allowed. I mean, you could say that it is. You could say that it is theft in some respect. I think I'm not 100% sure in with British law, but theft by definition is depriving somebody of something that they lawfully own for, I don't know if the period of time is specifically mentioned, because there's a difference between like theft and larceny or whatever the case may be. in any event, they've seized his personal items when they had no right to. Now, it'd be a different story if he was swinging his guitar around, walloping people with it, right? Then that seizure would be reasonable, I would suggest, because then that guitar has now become a weapon. But in this scenario, if he was just standing there in this express scenario, his guitar was on the floor. To me, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of reasonable purpose for them to take his guitar. Again, this could all just be resolved by saying, okay, fine, you keep playing your guitar and I'll ring the cops, and then wait for the cops. I've worked, all right, okay, I'm just going to be straight up here. Anybody out there worked in the security industry will have come across guys that we refer to as RoboCops, plastic police. And these are guys who get a uniform and immediately think they're RoboCop. And that's just the way it is. Every single security company that I have worked with, and there have been quite a few over the years, every one of them has a collection of these RoboCops, right? It's par for the course. It's what happens in these jobs, right? So you get guys who couldn't be a cop or wanted to be a cop but couldn't quite do it, or whatever the case may be, and that's it. They have no rights other than to observe and report. They have no other rights than any other member of the public. Hammerdorn says, as a security guard, do they not have a responsibility to police the area they are responsible for? Not really. It depends on what your definition of to police an area would be. To police in the sense that they walk around, act as a deterrent, and explain to people what the rules are there, eject people verbally, and then observe and report. Yes, absolutely. That's their duty. That's their job. When it comes to physically handling people, they can only do what any other member of society could do as a legal, citizen's arrest or whatever the case may be. So they have, as I say, they have no extra powers or abilities than anybody else.
don't know nothing, do you, really?
Why are you taking my stuff? Can you put my stuff
here with you.
Can you put my stuff down?
No, when the rangers get here and the coppers get here, then you can go, can't you?
Well, you're stopping me from going about my lawful business, my
Let's
friend.
go then.
I don't need to go. I'm perfectly allowed to be here.
You're on property that isn't yours.
It's not any of these people, do you?
Licensing,
But
I've told
you don't
you,
need a
where's your
license.
Busker's license?
What, tell me the law and licensing. You don't know it, do you? Busking is an unregulated activity in this country.
That you're not meant to be.
I'm allowed to be here. It's a public space.
You keep saying that. No, you're not. So
How
go
is it-
away, learn the law again, and then
Mate, you don't know any of the law, do you? You need to learn the law. And firstly, this what you're doing here is usurping me of my
Really?
goods.
Usurping?
Yeah. You need to learn that word, yeah.
Usurping. So do you.
It's a lawful
So do
word,
you.
yeah. It means you're
Yeah.
preventing me
So do you.
have my
Yeah. You're
own
preventing
stuff.
us.
I'm not
And other
preventing you doing
people-
anything. You're just
Yeah, you are. You're
people
being
have been
a fool.
enjoying it.
You're being an absolute fool.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Who's we're all fools
You've
to
advised
defend
him. You've advised him.
Yeah, but
Exactly
at
what
the
we
same
did.
time,
No, he's just a nice
you
member of the public, my
understand
friend.
his principle. Let's
We
be
don't
real.
need street-
Let's be real.
we don't
Let's
need
talk
street-
real
we don't need street
talk.
laws.
Let's talk real
We don't
talk.
need
What
street
you're
laws.
doing is using little like.
We don't need street lawyers, he says. Yeah, I mean, we also don't need RoboCops here, you know? Like, the guy, right, so the guy didn't want to move, all right? He wanted to stay there busking. They didn't want him to busk. So in order to get him to leave, they pick up his gear, right? First of all, I would say not cool at the very low end, not cool. You want him to leave, but you're not going to actually give him his stuff so that he can leave. And then you say that you're going to wait for the police to come to make him leave. So why not just leave his stuff on the ground? And then when the cops come, they'll make him leave. If you ask me, and maybe I'm being too harsh on the security guards here, right? Maybe I am. Seems like a bit of a job's worth to me. And I'm sorry, I know that comes across as very I don't know, snooty or whatever. I've worked with guys like this on many occasions, and I just know the attitude, and that's why it's easy for me to say it, and maybe people don't see it. This busker may be the world's biggest pain in the ass, literally a hemorrhoid, a pain in the ass and hard to get rid of. It still doesn't justify what's being done. You just say, right, screw you, call the cops, job done. You know what I mean? So I can definitely see it from their side too. Old dog for $10 with no comment. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Mike reckons I'm being too harsh on the security guards. Look, all I ask, right, and this is what I always ask when it comes to anything I say. If you disagree with me, all I ask is that you tell me why I'm being too harsh. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything there, Mike. I'm just wondering, what about what I'm saying? What about what I'm saying makes it seem too harsh? But anyway, I'm open to hear what you have to say, though, because I fully accept maybe I am being too harsh. Because I've worked with people like this, I probably am a little bit biased.
Small print, yeah, to go around the fact that you don't want someone that isn't paying.
Oh, Into the Blue Mister. You're absolutely right. I'm going to be straight up with you. Sorry now for pausing it so quickly. Into the Blue Mister said about my Star Wars swipe thing, right? I agree with you. I hate it. I just don't know how to turn it off. that swipe thing. I don't know. First of all, I don't know how I put it on. And now I don't know how to turn it off. So I need to try and work that out tomorrow. I hate it too because it's always slow and laggy and horrible. So my apologies for that, but I will try. Oh man, I just don't know how to turn it off, but it's probably not that hard anyway. All right, let's see here.
Festival place, all the malls. See, you don't want me to talk.
Well, I didn't put
you
it
don't
there.
want me to
Out of the way. They tried to steal
You
it.
don't want anyone that isn't part of festival place or the malls to be earning any money in it. And that is all it is. Yeah, and he's just trying to earn a living.
No, actually we do.
So
We are
that's
quite
why you're
few.
being obtrusive and you're using health and safety is some obstruction.
The thing is, mate, you guys, lawfully, you're in the wrong.
Same conversation me and you had 5 minutes ago, mate. It's still not changed.
Can I please have my stuff back?
No.
Why not?
Because as soon as they get here, we're moving it.
But you're usurping me of my stuff.
I'm not putting your stuff down. I'm not usurping you, buddy.
Yeah, can I have my stuff back?
I'm right here with you.
Yeah, so can I have my stuff down?
Not until you're ready to go.
And it's
I don't need to go. It's a public space. I've got every right to be here.
Mate, you stop with the old record.
So can I ask who your employer is, please?
No.
Who's your employer?
The malls. You're in the malls.
What's their name? What's their name? I need the name of the employer. The malls, yeah? What's the name of your
Very
supervisor?
clever, you're getting there. The malls. M-A-L-L-S.
You know how to spell.
The malls.
Please,
Really?
mate.
Because you don't seem to understand anything else.
Please, may I have the name of your supervisor? Excuse me, sir. Please, may I have the name of your supervisor?
I'm not sure what the legality is in the United Kingdom. Maybe somebody can fill me in on that. If I was on duty as a security guard here in Ireland or in Australia, when I was working for private security companies, now I also worked for the state as a custody officer, kind of similar to what a sheriff does in the US in the custody sphere. That, and you know, like court sheriff type thing. That was my job. So when I worked in that industry, anybody who asked me to identify myself, I had to do it. I was legally obliged to give my full name, my rank, and my badge number, basically. So I had to. When I was working for private security in Australia, in Australia, I don't think I was legally obliged to give them anything. In Ireland, you're only legally obliged to give your it's not a badge number, it's like your license number, not your full name. In fact, your full name isn't even on your license in Ireland, just your first name and your license number. It might be changed now. It's been over 10 years since I was registered security guard in Ireland, but if anybody knows any different, let me know. Frank Perry, thank you so much for $5 says, sounds like he wants his stuff just to go back to playing and not make a scene. I agree with you there. It seems that way. Again, maybe this security guard right here is the nicest guy in the world and is usually 100% spot on. And maybe he's dealt with this guy 50 times a day and he's sick of his shit. Could be. And if that is the case, I sympathize with him. And I want to get that across. I want to make sure that people understand that I have been in this situation more times than most people have had hot meals. Multiple times a day, I've dealt with difficult people. Now, in this guy, I'm not saying that the guy is being difficult intentionally, but he may have been, and that's why this guy is acting this way. You have to just be a professional. I know it sounds so black and white and so inhuman and harsh, but it's the reality of it. If you can't do it, don't do the job. I've never, I can honestly say, hand on my heart, in my, how how many years now? 12-ish years, 13, 14 years, something like that, working in the security industry, working in custody, you know, all that kind of stuff. I have never stepped out of line in terms of assaulting somebody or being overly aggressive. Now, I will say, in the custody industry, that was hands-on. Like, if somebody got in your face, there was no two ways about it. They were going down and getting in cuffs or getting or something. So, absolutely, that's a different job, though. You have different rules. You have different powers of arrest and detainment and search and seizure, all that stuff. Whereas as a security guard, I didn't have those powers, and I never stepped out of that. Now, if somebody took a swing at me, which often happened when I was doing doors as a bouncer, you could take him down. Absolutely. Totally different story. But this guy isn't swinging on anyone. He might be the world's biggest pain in the ass. But as long as he's not hurting somebody physically, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Don't start calling me sir now, after you're being rude all the other
I've been rude at all. I'm just trying to get my stuff back.
Let's get it all right. You've been rude.
I haven't been rude. It's all on film, my friend.
Your gear, because you're not meant to be here.
I'm allowed to be here.
Now you're calling me sir.
Can I please have my stuff back?
That's the way it is. That's the reality.
I can't have my stuff back.
That's the reality.
Why have you taken my stuff?
I'm here with you.
Yeah, can I have it back, please? You do realise what you're doing is unlawful.
No, it's not unlawful at all.
I've asked you 4 times.
No, you
to
have assaulted me.
Listen, get that phone out of my face. I've told you that already.
Mate, please do not stuff my stuff.
See, like, he's stepping to him again. You know what I mean? Like, so he's back like this, and he's like, get the phone out of my face. It's like, bro, you stepped up to him. It might be the most irritating thing on earth. And actually, a very good point from Mr. E-Man. We don't know what happened before this. This guy might have been completely out of line altogether before this. But if you're stood back 5-6 feet away from somebody and then you start storming towards him, telling him to take the phone out of your face, you've put yourself in that position, unfortunately. It might be irritating, it might be tough to deal with, but then that's not the job for you. And I know that's cold, I know that's harsh, but when I was supervising teams, if I had somebody do that, they'd be on their ass immediately. They'd be gone. They'd be looking for a new job straight away. And I've seen guys, I haven't done it. I've thankfully never been put in a position where I kind of had to do it or whatever. But I've seen guys on teams with me and on teams that were like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but like, you know, people that were under me but had different supervisors or whatever. So the guys who I was supervising, basically a guy who one of those guys was supervising got reported to the security authority for a relatively minor thing that I probably wouldn't have reported them for. That's what I'm saying. And I know it's cold, but if he was my officer and I was his supervisor and I saw this video, I'd be booting him. Now I'd hear his side of it first, but the video evidence speaks for itself. If he's standing away from you and you get in his face and tell him, get out of my face, you've put yourself in that position. I wouldn't be reporting this guy for it or anything, but I'd be saying, look, bro, this isn't the job for you. How am I supposed to trust an officer like that? If you can't do the job, don't do the job. I know it's ice cold, stony cold veins running through my body. That's the way you have to be that way, because guess what? If you're his supervisor and you're aware of this shit going on and he hurts somebody, guess who's going to get in trouble for it? Your company's going to get in trouble big time. If you get sued, shit rolls downhill. You're going to get it at some point. So you have to protect your own ass. You got to protect your company and the officer themselves. Might seem cold to fire somebody for doing something that most of us in regular everyday life would think is fairly reasonable, even though I wouldn't in that scenario, but he could get in a lot of trouble. But that's where I'm at with that. But I'll put up a poll later because I'd be really interested to see where people's thoughts are. Frank Perry, thank you so much, my friend, for $5 says, if people are getting paid and this guy is standing there making money, McDonald's not going to let you stand in front giving tips for cheeseburgers. And I tend to agree with you there. I suppose the issue of legality comes in there. Is he lawfully allowed to be there? I guess, and this is where people struggle with my channel sometimes because the way I phrase things and whatever, but from my perspective, as a regular, everyday, normal guy, I know you're all singing that in your head right now. As a regular person walking down the street, you see a guy playing the guitar, I love it. I love it. And I don't think, what about all the people that may have paid for permits? You know what I mean? That's the average person on the street. they might have a duty to ensure that there's no unpermitted buskers there to protect those guys who have paid for their licenses. So I agree with you there. And then I suppose that's the top layer, and then it's like an onion. You take that layer off, what's underneath it? Did they have the right to do what they did? Even if the guy was in the wrong, I still say absolutely not. And now, it's easy for me to say, coming from somebody who's had years of experience in the industry, and I have seen officers get sued. I've seen companies get sued. I've seen, there was one scenario, I cannot mention who it was because, anyway, I can't mention who it was, but basically, there was one scenario, we were working, I won't say where, because then you'd be able to find the story, and I don't need that kind of flack right now. Basically, we were working at an event, won't say what it was, and a guy got in an officer's face, and he said a very nasty slur to this officer. This particular officer was a really big, strong guy, and he punched him right in the face. If I was in that officer's shoes, the chances are I would have done the exact same thing, especially if I was out of uniform. 100%. I don't blame the guy at all. Like, not at all. But because that happened, 6 of us lost our jobs. Him included. So him and 5 other officers, we all lost our jobs. Not that we got fired for any purpose other than the fact that the company got sued so bad because he destroyed the guy's nose that they just had to go insolvent because they were already struggling. Then they got sued, company gone. 6 of us lost our jobs there and then. That's the risk you run. It's a very, it's a shitty situation. Yeah. Anyway, let's watch on another bit. Oh yeah, I fixed the transition thing. There we go. Now we're talking. Isn't it playing? Can I just say, actually...
Listen, get that phone out of my face. I've told you that already.
Please do not stop.
Now that is a well-mustachioed gent. Can we all just take a moment? Can I get an applause in the side chat for this mustache right here? That is... I salute my mustache to you, sir. That's awesome.
I will touch your stuff because you've been asked to leave.
You're on private premises.
It doesn't matter, it's still a public space, my friend.
It is private property.
Yeah, it may be privately
So
owned,
under
but
civil
it's,
law...
excuse me, mate, I need to...
Yes,
you're going to lose my money
civil
stolen.
law.
I'm not going to lose any money, mate.
Under civil law, you are trespassing.
Potentially. So, again, I'm not going to get into the legal side of this, right? Because... English law in general is difficult. It's tricky. I've studied it to some extent. Tort law especially, which is kind of the civil side of things. Really, really, really tricky. Really, really tricky. Especially when it comes to people getting physical with each other. Very, very, very tricky. So I'm not even going to touch that.
So...
I'm not trespassing, no. These guys have stolen my stuff.
You've been asked to leave private property.
So these guys have stolen my stuff.
Haven't stolen. Okay.
That's
You've been
theft.
asked to leave
That's theft.
private property.
Yeah, that's theft.
I agree 100% Violet. He does need some wax.
I've just done.
So, no.
I need to wait for the police to be... What's your name, please, mate?
So, you don't need to know my
I do,
name.
I would
I'm
like
on
to know your
certain
name.
Rangers.
A ranger?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
on
I'm waiting for the police. They've stolen my stuff.
You can wait for police. It's not theft. You have been asked to
Yeah,
leave private property.
That's theft. That is theft.
Okay,
They've stolen
I'm
my
recording
stuff
you
and
as
my
well,
money.
just so you're
yeah,
aware.
Good, I appreciate
Everything
that.
you do. So, in fact,
what's
you
the-
have been asked to leave private
Please, might I have the name of your employer?
It's trespass. We work for the BIDS, the Business Improvement District.
Okay, and what's the name of your supervisor, please?
Sorry?
The name of your supervisor?
The supervisor, you can ask that for security. We'll sort that after, later.
Can you just tell me now so I've got it on record?
Sorry,
Because
don't need to tell
those
you
guys
at
have stolen my
present.
stuff.
Nothing has
And I was
been
waiting for the
stolen.
police to arrive. Where's my stuff gone? They've gone.
Okay.
I'll just say, from... If I was the security officer's manager here, I would be pissed. Pissed. And I think my initial thought was proven when I later read the comment section. So he claims that his equipment was actually broken by those guys and that they put it on a random seat outside in the rain and then walked away. Big mistake, man. It's one thing to put your hands on his stuff, right? It's another thing to then remove his stuff without him there. big mistake, because he could say anything he wants, man. Big mistake.
Your stuff has been secured by security here, which is private property.
Yeah, but that's theft, isn't it? Did anyone see my stuff get stolen? You got stolen, yeah?
You can contact the mall security to get your possessions.
It's been stolen, my friend.
You can contact the mall security.
Like, all you asked there, right? So that's the end of the video. But you just say to him, where's my stuff? Oh, mall security took it. Where's mall security? They're gone. Like, where's the recourse there? So that's the end of that part of the video, right? But it's the end of the video in total. But I am just like, I don't even know where to go with this one. I don't know whether or not I side with the mall cops on this one, despite the fact that, you know, they were probably just trying to act appropriately to do their job or whatever. They definitely didn't. All right, I'm gonna tell you straight up, because I've been a security supervisor, I've been a security manager. They did not do what they were meant to do. Let me see. And I'll do a quick poll. And once the poll is done, right, what we'll ask is, if you want to tell us in the side chat after you've voted who you side with and why. I would love to read some of those out, because it'd be really interesting. Secret Squirrel says everyone is in the wrong on this one. I actually kind of tend to agree with you there, Secret Squirrel. There was ways that it could have been handled better on both sides, in my opinion. So the security guards should not, under any circumstances, have touched him or his stuff, unless he was causing an imminent danger to himself, the public, or the guards themselves. Then fair game. So that's the first part. As for him, now I'm not talking about from a legal perspective, I'm talking about from a reasonable perspective. He should have just packed up his stuff and left when he was asked to, and then air those grievances later. That would have been the appropriate thing to do there. Which is the worst thing to have done? I would say, maybe I'm probably too biased to say, because having worked in the industry as long as I have, it's a tough one. PJCnet says the busker needed to leave on private property when asked. However, security screwed up much more taking his stuff. I agree with you there. Again, the legal side of whether or not it was private property, UK law, nightmare, not even worth talking about, because it's just, nobody's right. It's very tough. But either way, look, you're on the property that has been, you know, done up and looked after by the local council. They have hired these security guards to do what they do, and that's what happened. So did they act within the bounds of the law? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Was what they did reasonable up to and including the point of asking him to leave and demanding that he leave? I would say yes. I think that's reasonable from my perspective. But where they went too far was touching him, and that's where the balance, in my opinion, pitched for me towards the busker. That I would support the busker in that those security guards shouldn't have touched him or his stuff. That was bad enough. And then to walk away with his stuff and leave him there, that for me, now that could be just security head here being like, terrible mistake. Does that outweigh what the busker did? I would say absolutely, right? So he might have been a nuisance. He might be a pain in the ass. Maybe he does it all the time. Who knows? We don't know. We're only going off what we can see. So, yeah, a very good point. I intentionally didn't put a neither option in there because I wanted to see what side people take and for what reason. I was going to put a neither option, but I intentionally didn't. Because I wanted to see why, because otherwise I think most people would have just hit neither, and I wanted to get more of an opinion on it. I Heart Dog says, unknowable situation without all the facts. Oh, absolutely. And we're just going off the information that we have. Let me see there now. Robert Kennedy says, neither, once security takes his gear, they are ultimately responsible for it while in their possession, 100%, even though legally they can't or shouldn't have. But absolutely, he took physical custody of it. He should have completely being responsible for it at all times. And as a security guard, you don't put yourself in that position. You leave that with the cops, you know? Sue's got a good point too. Like, you know, that a lot of these people, no matter, you know, you give them an inch, they take a mile. That's a good point too. Goosebump 801 says Busker thought he should have he should have left when asked. Security guys were way too aggressive beyond their remit. I agree. That's pretty much my view too. So I'm happy I'm not the only one. Amradorn says, I voted for the security guards. Yes, they could have handled it better, but when they asked him to leave, he should have left. And I think that's fair. I think that's fair too. But then in my mind, and that's about where I agree with you to that point. And then once they went over that point, that's where then I kind of start to side with the busker a bit more. Not that I would say specifically that because the guards fucked up that the busker should be allowed to do what they want. Not at all. Not at all. Just that in the scenario as a whole, I think the guards went way too far. But I agree with you up to that same point. I think is a reasonable level. Jim McKinnon says buskers play music, guitar, bagpipes, lots of things, and they do it for money. Exactly. Amanda says I'm mostly with the busker as his property was damaged and they touched him. Yeah, even if his property wasn't damaged, the fact that they walked away with it and left him. You just don't do that. Even police officers don't do that unless the situation dictates that they have to for safety reasons or whatever. But even when a police officer is searching you or your car, like they try to have everything on display, if for no other reason than to protect themselves. And I'm with them on that. I think that's the way to do it. And it's fair for everybody. Wendy says Ed Sheeran was a busker. Exactly. Don't kill me, folks. I love Ed Sheeran. I wouldn't say I love Ed Sheeran. I don't dislike him. I like his stuff. Alejandro Magno says, I don't choose either side. Security went too far and the busker refused to leave or follow policy. Fair enough. Buskers juggle, dance, paint pictures. Absolutely. I think here's the thing, like, you know, with buskers, I love buskers. I'm just going to be straight. I love it, especially here in Ireland, in the city I live in. It's an old Viking, medievally kind of town. You walk down the street, you hear Irish music there, you hear rock there, then you have the jazz weekend every October, November, I don't know, around that time. People playing jazz on the streets, like street performers. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love buskers. But yeah, it's an interesting one here, this one. Leon says, I agree that the busker should have just left and complained to the council later. However, I also agree that security handled it badly. They shouldn't have touched him. So I side with the busker. That's kind of where I'm at too. I think that's reasonable. Citizen 9 says, whole situation was poorly handled. There would be a mall manager who should have been called to the scene. They should never have touched his gear. I agree 100%. Alan says, buskers can be very annoying. Had a piper playing half the day outside our office. Now, that I agree with. I think there has to be a reasonable level too, right? So, funny you mentioned that. There was a guy in our city that used to play the Irish war pipes, which are like, they're like bagpipes with two massive drones. And they're just like, and they're crazy loud. It's really cool, actually, but not for 8 hours in a row. And I think eventually he was asked to move on. Busking in some places fall under anti-panhandling ordinances. I did not know that. That's interesting. There's generally a busker festival here in Ottawa. Yeah, there's one here too. It's really, really good, actually. Ooh, I don't think I agree with you there. The Funkadelic fan says buskers are just beggars. Nah, I don't agree with you there. So there are some buskers in my city who are purely beggars, right? So there's this one guy who plays the tin whistle. Yeah, little Irish tin whistles. And he doesn't know how to play the tin whistle. He just does it to get money. And actually, sometimes he doesn't even play. He just stands there with it and people throw money in his thing. No big deal. Some of the buskers here are incredibly talented, like amazing. There's one guy that used to busk here in the street. He was a stand-up comedian. He used to do a little comedy show right in the middle of Patrick Street in the city. He now has his own TV show. So I don't agree. I don't think the statement buskers are beggars is fair, really. Let me see. Zebra says, the final season ruined Game of Thrones. I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for this. I totally agree. I totally agree. Dragged out and horrible. Frixos says, one, the security guards used antagonistic tactics. This is well used by the UK police force to push the person into a violent reaction. The Busker did well holding his temper. Yeah, he actually did do very well. I will say that he did hold his temper, which I have a lot of respect for. Busking is big in Australia. Yeah, Christopher, I used to live in Perth. I was there for 5 years, and there was fantastic buskers in Perth. Fantastic. Trespass on property belonging to one person of the public laws should be tough, but on property belonging to a council should be a little bit more lenient. I tend to agree with you there, Taipan. Madman says, so you accept liability for the busker. If he doesn't have liability insurance and you allow him to play, you have. Once you notice him, he's got to go. That's a very fair point. What would you say, though, realistically, a guy standing there with a guitar versus just a regular member of the public, what kind of damage could they inflict? I suppose, I mean, if they turn around too fast and hit somebody in the face with a guitar, maybe that could potentially be. But that's a very good point. I fully accept that. That's a very good point. Private property in UK, like stations and malls, require a license normally. Yeah, absolutely, they do. Citizen 9 says, the thing I hate about buskers, if they are any good, they always stop me from getting to where I'm going on time. Yes, I get that a lot. Violet Wing says she would love to watch. I'm assuming I shouldn't assume. Violet Wing says, I would love to watch a bagpipe busker. Do yourself a favor. Check out this bagpipe busking. Actually, I'll show you. 2 seconds. Want to see a really cool busking group? What are they called again? They're from Scotland. They're just, yeah, here it is. Yeah, Caledonia. Clanedonia, I think, is why I couldn't find it when I looked up Caledonia. Check these guys out, right? These guys rock. I gotta get geared up for this one. Like the real Highland King here. I love this guy with the hat in the front. He's awesome. Now, if that doesn't make you want to go fighting the English at the Battle of Stirling, then I don't know what will. That is just the height of epicness. Amazing. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, that's Clanedonia. Check them out. They're absolutely awesome. Now, I missed the super chat there. Alan Ferris says, for £10, the busker should have left when asked, but the actions of the security goes well beyond their powers and stepped into a very grey area of possible theft. Did they intend to deprive him, then theft? That's a good point. Intent is a big part of law, especially in the UK. So yeah, that's a very, very good point. I might have to do like God, I want to get a bagpipe right now so bad. My ADHD now is just flaring up here. I'm going to be watching. You can be damn sure, right? I've got a load of outside work to do tomorrow, chopping timber and stuff like that. So you can be damn sure I'm going to be listening to bagpipe music that whole time. Kim says the biggest things about licensing are A, wanting to retain quality control over entertainment in the venue. Very, very fair point. Some buskers I've seen have been terrible. And B, wanting to avoid everyone and their dog setting up as performers. I do think that's a fair point. You look like a WWF wrestler in the late 90s. No shit. Check this out. I got this the day I was leaving Australia, right? Hold on. It's still kind of, it actually hasn't been unpacked since I left Australia. Not properly, anyway. I was I stopped in the charity store, like a thrift store or whatever, on my way to pick up Mrs. Demon to go to the airport, and I was dropping off some of her old clothes and stuff like that, right? Check this out, right? I found this in the thrift store, right? And now I'm not a big wrestling fan. I used to be. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. So I accidentally pulled a cable out the back of my mic when I was fucking around with that there a second ago. So no, I wasn't muted. And I said some really interesting stuff about the purpose of life, and now I've forgotten what it was. I think I deserve another one. At least I didn't accidentally mute myself. I did genuinely pull the cable out the back of my microphone. I probably did it again there now, did I? Oh, well. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you all joining me tonight. This was a very spur-of-the-moment thing. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't even really want to make a video today. I was just so tired and just fed up with YouTube. Not doing YouTube, just YouTube in general. Been grinding my ass. I lost monetization on a whole load of videos over the past few days that I have to fight to get back. One of the things was, get this, right? Get this, for absolute top tier bullshit, right? I lost monetization on a video, not because of actual swearing, right? Implied swearing. Are you fucking kidding me? How about that? Direct swear in YouTube. You can shove that right. Actually, no, I won't go that far because that might actually get me in trouble. Can you believe that? Implied swearing. Because the one said the see you next Tuesday word. I blanked it out. And they still gave me it. Ah, motherfuckers. Anyway, it is what it is. So YouTube are thieves and they're racists. They're directly racist against Irish people because when I say lads and lassies, they take it as lads and German lads from World War II, and then they nail me for saying something that rhymes kind of with lassies, but is German guys from World War II. I hope we're all on the same page here. N-A-Z or Z, wherever you're from, I. All right? That's what they think I'm saying. They're racist. They're racist against Irish people. That's what they are. They don't want us making money. So any word that they can find that sounds kind of like something else, they nail us for it. And that's it. Anyway, what can you do? It is what it is. We'll get there though, you know what I mean? There's a load of stuff that I say. Do you know how else it's racist, right? Do you know how else it's racist against Irish people? Do you out there know any Irish person that can put a whole sentence together? Although I do a few, but mostly a whole. Can you go through a conversation? Any Irish people out there, tell me the truth. Can you go through a whole conversation without saying fuck? I don't know how the priest when I was a kid, used to get the whole way through mass without saying fuck. It's racist against Irish people. That's what it is. So fuck you, YouTube. Oh, man. Thank you so much, Devon's Angel, for the $50 super chat. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Well, that's shoved it right up YouTube's tube, I suppose. God damn. Thank you so much. Proc says, didn't they demonetize you for several innocent videos as well? Yes. Right, get this. They claim that it was picked up by the algorithm that I said naughty words, right? So I said, all right, let's test this out, shall we, folks? Let's test this out. What did I do? I made a video where I sat here and I said, you know what I love? I love kittens. I love kittens and chocolate and flowers and nice things. All nice things are what I love, and it's all about love and yada, yada, yada. So I went through like 4 or 5 minutes of just talking about lovely things, uploaded it, immediately demonetized, and I had to get a manual review. And at the end of the video, I said, hey, YouTube person who's watching this back, can you see the problem here? And that was it. And it got monetized straight away. How about that? Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. But, you know, fuck it. Like, what can you do? See, I can't even get through a few sentences without saying fuck. And it's like, you know, what do you do? What do you do? But look, at the end of the day, it is their platform and they have the right to do it. But fuck. Bob Nodell's Gyroscope said one of my favorite sentences in a television show ever. I hear you're racist now, father. I fucking... Tell me in the side chat what that's from. No, Tom, no, I'm not racist at all. It's just I don't have much time for the old racism now. I love that. It's the fucking Greeks, father. Oh, man. We should do a watch party. I have been supposed to. Jesus, I've never used that in a sentence before. I just realized. I was supposed to. Yes, I was supposed to do Father Ted live streams, but I never got around to it. But yeah. Oh, did I ever find that picture? I got to show you. Remind me that in the next one. I got to show you guys the video. Also, thank you so much to Thorbjorn for the super duper chat over on PayPal. Super duper chats, for those of you who don't know what they are, right? Super duper chats were the last time I got my whole channel demonetized, right? Over some bullshit. I got my whole channel demonetized, so we set up super duper chats, which is where I would get super chats through the PayPal. I actually quite like who doesn't like PayPal, but it's handy because you can use it straight away to buy equipment or whatever. But did I show you that pic? I did. Oh yeah, I had a picture of myself and Mrs. Demon at Father Ted's house. It was awesome. It's actually like 5 miles away from our family's castle. Are we all supposed to be racist now, Father? It's just I don't have much time for the old racism. Oh, fuck me. I love Father Ted, man. What a show. All right. Well, I'm going to slaunch you soon, so I'm going to have an old drop of whiskey. Oh, wrong one. Oh, that was precarious. Careful now. Down with that sort of thing. Sancha. God, that's lovely. Oh, Mark in Texas gave me this Redbreast whiskey. It's made just down the road from where I live. Can't get it. Cannot get it. Kicking Bishop Brennan up the arse. Kenneth Schultz says, greetings from Denmark. Awesome. Drink. Feck. Arse. Girls. What was that one part in Father Ted when he's like, I've no fucking whiskey, and he's got a bottle of whiskey in his hand. Dan Hetfield says, the Craggy Island Fun Fair is one of the greatest bits of visual comedy of all time. I agree. What was the one? Point at the freak, and they're all like, bizarre. Let me see. Are you more like me than I care to admit? I think we're more alike than we know. And then there's chirpy burpy cheap sheep. Anyway, lads and lassies, thank you so much for joining me. I really do hope you enjoyed tonight. It was just a spur of the moment thing. It was well worth it. Hold on. What did I miss? Paul says, sure. Shout out Denmark. Where are you? Oh, the autistic cat. When Father Jack goes sober and he's like, floor. It's like, yes, Father. Yes, floor. Chair. That's right, Father. That's right. Let's see what else he can do. What was the other ones? Oh, yeah. Curtains. That's right, Father. And then he points at Father Ted. He's like, gobshite. Fucking, oh, man. Father Jack was one of the greatest characters of all time. Absolutely awesome. Me says, congrats. What am I getting congrats for? What did I do? Did I do something good? Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Renee's absolutely. Renee, I want to say as well, thank you so much for all your help. You and other people. Paul is from Detroit, Michigan. Let me see. We need all the help we can get there. Yeah. NY sucks. You can keep that up your arse because that's not true. I know my sound isn't gone because I can see it on the screen. Nice try. I used to fall for that back in the day. Not now. Not now. I have learned. So my brother just messaged me. My brother and my little nephew, my brother's fiance and my little nephew both got the thing that's been going on for the last 2 years. Oh man, I hope they'll be all right. Anyway, gotta go. Lads and lassies, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If I keep reading Father Ted quotes, then I'm going to keep saying them and I'll be here all night. Thank you all so much. We'll catch you tomorrow for a video. I've got a few videos lined up that I want to try out, and I hope to see you there. Thank you all so much. Fuck it. One more. What a sound. What a sound. Sláinte.